going to talk about one of the most incredible military commanders in all of history, a man whose tactics are, believe it or not, still studied in military academies all over the world. His name was Khalid ibn al-Walid. Okay, so let's just start with a fact that is absolutely mind-blowing. When you think of the great generals, Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, they all have one thing in common. They all lost a battle at some point. But Khalid ibn al-Walid? Nope. He fought in over 100 battles and was never, ever defeated. Not once. So you have to ask, right? How did he do it? What was the secret sauce? How does one guy stay undefeated against some of the most powerful empires on the planet? Well, to answer that, let's jump right into one of his first major tests. He's early in his campaign against the Persian Empire, and he's facing a situation that, honestly, looks completely unwinnable. Get a load of these numbers. At the Battle of Obla, Khalid has about 17,000 men. The Persian army he's up against? 40,000. He is outnumbered more than 2 to 1. A straight-up fight would have been a slaughter. So, what does he do? Well, after the fighting starts and gets really heavy, Khalid gives an order that must have sounded completely insane to his men. Retreat. Fall back. Just like that, his army starts pulling back, looking for all the world like they're totally broken and running for their lives. And the Persians? Oh, they fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. They see this fleeing army and think, this is it, the final blow. So they just break their disciplined formations and charge forward in this big, chaotic mess, desperate to finish them off. And right there, that's the genius of the move. His men weren't just running away, they were moving with purpose, creating these channels and gaps in their own lines. Then, at the perfect moment, Khalid wheels his cavalry around, charges through those gaps, and smashes right into the side of the disorganized Persian army. The trap was sprung. They were surrounded. He literally used their own confidence against them. The result? A complete and total victory. That massive Persian army was shattered. And just like that, the Muslims had their first major foothold outside Arabia, right in the heart of the crucial province of Iraq. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Khalid wasn't just a master tactician on the battlefield. He knew that winning the war was about more than just fighting. It was about winning over the people. Think about it. Most conquerors back then would just loot and plunder a city. Khalid did the complete opposite. He gave people their private property back. He set up courts that were famous for being fair. He even banned predatory lending. And get this, the new tax he introduced was actually lower than the tax that people had been paying to the Persians before he got there. It all came down to his core philosophy. He understood that a happy population and a stable economy were just as deadly as a sharp sword, maybe even more so. And the results, they were incredible. He got massive support from the locals, so much so that people started volunteering to join his army. His treasury grew stronger. He wasn't just occupying a territory, he was building a loyal, secure foundation from the inside out. But of course, the Persian Empire wasn't going to take this lying down. They were furious, and they came up with a plan to finally trap and destroy Khalid, once and for all. The plan was simple, and it was deadly. They sent 2 huge armies, not one, to converge on Khalid's position at a place called Walaja. The idea was to catch him in the middle. If those 2 armies linked up, he'd be trapped, crushed, with absolutely nowhere to go. Khalid knew there was no way he could fight both armies at once, so he came up with this incredibly daring plan. He decided to take his army on a brutal, forced march right through the desert, a place the Persians would never expect, to hit the first army and destroy it before the second army even knew what was happening. So when the battle starts, he goes back to his greatest hits. He has the center of his army engage the Persians and then start a slow, deliberate retreat, pulling the entire Persian force deeper and deeper into a valley that he had picked out ahead of time. Now, you have to appreciate the incredible discipline this took. While the center was pulling back, the 2 sides of his army, the flanks, didn't move an inch. They stood firm, like walls. So as the Persians pushed forward, the Muslim army slowly bent into this U shape, wrapping around them. And then came the masterstroke. The Persian commander thinks he's winning, that he's got them on the run. But what he doesn't know is that the night before, Khalid had hidden 4,000 of his best horsemen behind some nearby hills. At exactly the right moment, he gives the signal. That cavalry charges out and slams into the Persian rear. The trap snapped shut. They were completely surrounded. And here is my favorite bit of historical trivia. Years earlier, before he had converted to Islam, Khalid fought against the Muslims at the Battle of Uhud. And guess what tactic he used to win that day? He hid his cavalry behind a hill and attacked their rear. He literally took a tactic he had used against his former enemies and perfected it to achieve one of his greatest victories. So all of these victories started sending shockwaves across the ancient world. And it led to something that for centuries, nobody thought was even possible. For 700 years. Let that sink in. 700 years. The two superpowers of the day, the Roman and Persian empires, had been bitter rivals. They were constantly at war, locked in a struggle for total domination. But the threat from Khalid and the fast-expanding Muslim armies was so big, so existential, that these two ancient enemies did the unthinkable. They put aside 700 years of bad blood and formed a grand alliance. You could almost call it the First World War of the ancient era. They had one simple, unified goal: combine their massive armies, their huge treasuries, and all their military power to stop this expansion, no matter the cost. Which of course leaves us with one heck of a cliffhanger. Khalid had beaten every army, every general sent his way. But could even he, the undefeated general, stand against the combined strength of the two greatest empires on Earth? Everything was on the line.